The Game Awards delivered on many fronts this year, and Sonic was no exception. We not only got to see the reveal trailer for Sonic Movie 2, but we finally got something informative on Sonic 2022, officially titled Frontiers. For this video, we're just going to be discussing what the game trailer had to show off. Right off the bat, we're shown Sonic running through a familiar forest to the teaser trailer. It is quite clear that the opening section is supposed to be showing us a more clear viewpoint of the events from that first trailer. I think it is safe to say that the footage we get to see in this trailer is absolutely beautiful. Both the scenery and colours mesh together and pop without feeling intrusive. After having to put up with the dominant cartoony styles of Lost World, Forces, Boom, and even Generations to a lesser degree, I am thrilled to finally see such an expressive world realised in more grounded visuals. Which is not to say I do not wish to have fantastical structures, like giant mushrooms or loop-de-loops, but those do not require a cartoon aesthetic to be placed into a fictional world. Despite my praises for the visual representation on display, it is important to not let ourselves get carried away. A solid amount of the trailer was CGI, and even the parts that were not had been captured from a PC. Having an overly exaggerated visual presentation for an upcoming game is nothing new to the gaming industry, so I would recommend keeping an eye of caution in the coming months to see if this is truly how the release version of the game will look. Also worth noting is the trailer states not everything shown is going to be in the final game, which is not a surprise. Ever since Generations, Sega has been producing high-budget CGI trailers for Sonic games, but whilst the marketing gets all the glamour, the games themselves do not. I mean, Generations itself had lovely looking trailers, but not a single in-game cutscene was on their level. So again, don't assume that this is what we can expect in the full release. Sonic himself was looking pretty good as well. He has a nice darker shade of blue rather than the more anemic tones he has adopted in some recent games to more closely resemble classic Sonic. His quills appear to be a bit longer than his Forces counterpart, not quite to his 2000s lengths, but more akin to Sonic Unleashed. In fact, Sonic in this trailer reminds me a lot of the Unleashed and Black Knight depictions of the blue blur. He is very expressive and animates with a buoyancy that makes his movements flow into one another. Of course, as I have said, that does not guarantee these traits will transfer into the game. We do get to see a brief moment of what I presume is an in-game clip of Sonic. I say presume because if this is an in-game Sonic, it may be supporting my fears on the trailer outperforming the game. Sonic clearly has updated textures here than when in Forces, with his deeper blue, which are prettied up by the shaders lighting the scene. However, looking at the quills, they seem to not match up with the CGI Sonic. Indeed, the model in-game appears to be a placeholder using the Forces model. Additionally, he's using the same horribly stiff idle animation from Forces, which is the exact opposite of the positive things I had to say on his expressiveness in the CGI. If these are just placeholders for the trailer, then great. If these are instead indicative of what we will get in the final product, then I must protest that Sega changed it, for it is a disservice to the character and unpleasant to observe. It would appear that at least some of the leaks were in fact well founded. The Ghost Girl companion that multiple leaks mentioned is quite possibly the woman we hear guiding Sonic at the beginning of the trailer.
Over here.
Now, to what extent those rumours were true are unknown. She might function as a companion character not all that dissimilar to in the storybook games or Chip from Unleashed. Alternatively, she could instead be acting as a counterpart to Zelda in Breath of the Wild, as a disembodied voice that communicates and guides Sonic telepathically, and likely having her imprisoned somewhere near the end of the game. Near the end of the trailer, we see part of what appears to be some kind of robot. Despite its mechanical nature, it does not appear to be related in any way to the constructions of Dr. Eggman. Its colouring and more angular design at a guess signifies an intentional message from Sega to show us that this is something else. We could also see that the robot or something similar launches odd missiles at Sonic, so whatever it is, it will likely be a consistent threat rather than a single late game boss. A few of the leaks mentioned that the majority, if not all of the Sonic cast, besides the main man, would be absent in this adventure, including Eggman. Hard to say if that's what's going on here, but it is definitely possible. One thing that is for sure is that Sonic Forces is clearly an open world experience. I have made no secret in the past that I'm not all that confident in a Sonic open world for a variety of reasons, and to a large extent my thoughts on the matter are still those of concern. One of the issues, however, has been partially addressed by the trailer, that being the game world would be largely uninspired swathes of land with the occasional hill, but nothing all that remarkable about them. Evidently, more effort and consideration have been put into making this world visually interesting to explore than I was willing to consider. There was an impressive variety of terrains on display, fields and hills as expected, but also wetlands, cliffs, waterfalls, meadows, crevices and forests. Each of these would offer some sort of different challenge when it comes to traversing through them, and they are all visually distinct from one another, which is vital when you're trying to sell a large open world rather than one big field. Interestingly, we can see an artificial bridge at one point, which hopefully indicates signs of life other than Sonic. The landscape is decorated with different kinds of ancient ruins, some seemingly imbued with a form of energy, which may or may not be related to Sonic's peculiar boost visuals this time around. Their purpose intrigues me quite a bit. If the cyberspace rumours are true, some of them look like they would be able to access it. Regardless, they look nicely detailed and atmospheric. All of those details do not alleviate my concerns on whether there will be a satisfactory amount of content to interact with in the world. We have no idea if there are side objectives, mini-games, or optional narrative content that will be placed around the world, or if it's limited to a few key locations whilst leaving the rest barren. All we know is that at least on the first playthrough, it appears the world would be fun to explore. In a few different shots, we see what looks like this game's equivalent to Ubisoft Towers, which for those who are unaware is a term used to describe the tall visual objectives in an open world setting that are popularised by Ubisoft games like Far Cry. Breath of the Wild has its own versions of these as well, for example. The towers here appear to have spiral roads designed for Sonic to run up them and reach the top. They will likely either unlock the area's map, or perhaps fill it with side quests. Not too sure for now. Visually though, they seem to be just as old as the other ruins, if not older due to the plant life growing on them. Whatever is going on in this place, it seems to have been undisturbed for quite some time. Something else I wanted to point out as a possible shortcoming is that depending on the budget being allocated to this game, all of these interesting landscapes may unfortunately come at the cost of the world's size, and thus the game's length. I just have this biting feeling at the back of my mind that the playable area will effectively be the size of Breath of the Wild's Great Plateau, the tutorial section, except that it will be scaled up in size to account for Sonic's speed. This would mean that whilst on paper the world was bigger than the Great Plateau if you were using Link, for Sonic, the game will only last around 2 hours or so. Time will tell on that front. You may be thinking that that is a little pessimistic of me, and you're right, it is, but for good reason. This entire Sonic Frontier situation is eerily similar to the lead up of Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. Sure, at this current moment the two games couldn't look more different, but that is just because we already know how Boom turned out. At the time before Boom released, fans were somewhat optimistic for the more adventurous world and returning characters, but it turned out a lot of the early trailer content was cut, and the game did not live up to the marketing at all. I certainly hope this is not the case for Frontiers, but we would be remiss to not take Sega's recent track record with the franchise into consideration. With all of that said though, I'm more open to Sonic Frontiers after seeing this trailer than I was before. It could be smoke and mirrors, but the image it presents shows potential if it is true. Could this truly be the start of a better era for Sonic? I hope so. Whilst I always would want to return to adventure-style Sonic, if they can deliver on a new and high-quality experience with this game, I'm on board. But they better not screw it up. And those were my thoughts and speculations on the trailer. A pleasant surprise for sure whilst I stayed up to watch the awards. What are some of your thoughts on the future of this game? Have you changed your perspective from before the trailer? Leave your comments below to let me know. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end, and I hope to see you next time. This is the Mighty Emperor, signing off.